Thanks for clicking on this short video. This is an extraction from a longer video of a workshop. The link to this longer video is in the description below. There, we discuss other facets of the same issue discussed here. Do take a look too.
How do we position ourselves now? How do we position ourselves? Now, this is a very interesting thing because it goes into who you are, right? Who you are, right? But in order to know who you are, remember this little thing that I just shared with you just now, okay? Personal branding is about who you are and also in the context of the world of work. Now, in order to do this, we need to do something is to find out where do we stand in the world today, okay? And in essence, those of you who are marketing people, you know this. We want to do a brand audit. You want to do a brand audit, okay? So, by doing a brand audit, there are a few things we need to do first. Number one, okay, we need to know what we are good at, what's our expertise, okay? We need to know what is our passion, what drives us, all right? Of course, then we need to know who needs the things that we can provide, right or not? Right? In the world of work, who needs those things, all right? But that is still not enough, right or not? What is the missing component here? You know who you are, you know what you're passionate about, you know there are people that needs what you can provide. What do you think is the fourth element that is very, very important to you? This is something that's very near and dear to our hearts, right? It is whether people are willing to pay for what we can provide, right? Some people may not be willing to pay, right? So if you look at this, where is the sweet spot? The sweet spot essentially is in the intersect of all the junction there, right? So we're going to talk about that immediately after this. But then the other component of a brand audit is really what you are known for, right? Now we want to look at the way we identify all these four components. How do we identify all these four components? Now, if you look at what we are good at and what we are passionate about, essentially, we are identifying how we help people, right? Because we help people by using what we are good at, by also using our passion, right? So a combination of that is really helping us to identify how we help people, right? So that's the first component. Then the other component is what? When we look at who is willing to pay for what we can provide. In other words, somebody needs it and they are willing to pay for it. Essentially, then we need to highlight what is the benefit we give to them. What is the benefit we give to them? Okay? So if you come back to this notion that employers are risk adverse, how can we measure our success? How can we measure our career success? Now, many of you would say, oh, I measure my success by the title, by the money that I have. Maybe I want to suggest to you another way of looking at career success, right? Career success is how good you are at helping people at the end of the day. Okay? Obviously, by helping people, people see your benefit, then they're willing to pay you for it. Okay? So success should be measured and seen as how good you are at helping people. Is that okay? All right. So maybe it's something different from what you normally think of as success. But I just want you to sort of maybe rejig your mind to think of it this way. Okay. You can take a screenshot if you like. All right. So how do we do this? How do we do this? We're going to talk about two particular components. Now, those of you who've been to my past workshops, you would have gone through this, right? I don't have time to actually run through the details of each of the particular mechanics or tools to help you address this, but there are the links to the videos. Again, these links will be provided to you by WSG after today's session, okay? But essentially, if you look at it, these two particular components here will help address a couple of areas, okay? How you can help people, what problems you solve. Right? So how you help people here is really a combination of your competencies and your preferences. Okay? What problems you solve essentially highlights to people the value that you bring to them. And because of that value, that's what they are willing to pay you for. Okay? So let's think of it that way. All right? Are we okay with this? So let's talk about the first one, okay? Which is this particular exercise of how you can help other people. Now, I already mentioned this. It's a combination of a few things, right? Number one, what you are good at. A lot of times when people ask us the question, hey, what are your skill sets? What are you good at? Right? It's very easy for us to list all this down. Right now, you're good at accounting, you're good at number crunching, you're good at marketing, that's all. Fair enough. Okay? But many of us tend to put this other component to the side. What do you prefer to do? What do you prefer to do? Now, I think this is very, very important, because if we don't know what motivates us, then we may never be fulfilled in our careers. We may be asked to do things that we don't like to do, and it may cause us stress. Okay? So the question in my head is that, do you want to continue doing something that will cause you stress and makes you unhappy, even though you can do it? That's not a question for me to answer. You have to answer it. Okay? Then the other thing to highlight is also, where do you want to further develop? And this is an indication of your interest and your passion. Because if you are really interested and passionate in something, then you will make the effort to learn how to do it. And once you learn how to do it, you want to get better and better at it. And once you get better and better at it, you want to use it. You want to apply this to help people. Right? So that is the concept here. Okay? So, very simple. This table has got two axes. On the top, you see there is the competency axis. I'm good at this. I'm not good at this. I'm good at this. Right? The vertical column here is your preference. Right? I like to do it. I don't like to do it. Are we okay so far? Again, I refer you to the video down. All right? So you can take a look at the video. We'll give you a lot more in-depth way to understand the whole thing. I don't have time to do that today, but hopefully you appreciate it, huh? Because I want to address a lot of things. So to cut a long story short, right? You see here, if you are good at something and you like to do it, essentially you are motivated to do it, right? However, if you are good at it but you don't like to do it, what happens? The more you use that skill, the more you are burned out, right? Then remember, I talk about something that you want to develop further is that part. You're not good at it, but you would like to do it. In other words, your interest area is there. Because at the end of the day, you want to push items in this area to here. But you need to know what these areas are, what these things here are, right? Irrelevant basically is things that you're not good at and you don't like to do. It may not be relevant part to your next career stage. Okay, so again, something very useful to consider as well. All right. So I'm going to use Peter as an example in this exercise. Okay, so again, a reminder, Peter, majority of his career has been in corporate setting, business development, strategic planning, and corporate governance. Okay, that is his background, 15 over years background. Okay, so what would it look like if Peter was to do this particular activity? What would it look like? Think about this. In the motivated skills portion, in other words, he's good at it and he likes to do it, Peter will probably say something like this, right? Leadership, adaptability, business transformation, strategic thinking. He's good at this and he likes to do it. Okay, he has identified that. Can you identify those things in that box? And let's take a look at the burnout skills for Peter. What burns him out? Managing external stakeholders, project management, right? So the thing here is this. In the burnout skill, people see him as capable, as good as this. But when Peter does all those things, he feels stressed. He doesn't like to do it. Now, let's take a look at what he's very interested in, but he doesn't feel that he's good at it right now. So he wants to learn more. There you go. Right? Remember, he talked about how he's passionate about eco and sustainable issues, right? His track record there is not yet established very strongly, but he wants to learn more. So he wants to develop sustainable business. He wants to learn how to develop sustainable business practices. He wants to learn how to embark on environmental conservation network building. Okay. Then the irrelevant part, in other words, the rest of the skills that will not play a major role in his career progress, okay, he identifies this. Okay, I don't want to do coding. Financial planning is not something that I would consider as my next step, even though I'm not good at it, right? And then financial auditing is not something I would do as well. Okay, so that is Peter's competency and preference framework. All right. So if you wanna again take a screenshot of this, by all means do so. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you got a screenshot of that. Okay. Again, like I said, the link to the video will be given to you in an emailer from WSG probably tomorrow on the next day. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this framework. Okay, it basically tells you how you can help other people. It shows you what you are good at and what you like to do. Okay, and what you are good at, but what you don't like to do. Okay, right. So that is that framework. So let's talk a little bit about the next portion. What is this? Essentially, we are looking at what problems we solve. So all those skills that we have, we know how we help people. Now the next thing is then, we know how we help people, but then what is the result? What is the outcome? What is the value add we bring to the table? So in other words, what are the problems we solve? And this is very critical. Okay? Not enough people think about their career in this format. And I'm trying to push out in all my workshops this notion. You need to understand what are the problems you solve, because by knowing that, then you know what value add you bring to the table. Okay? Why is this so important? Let me explain further. Okay. Essentially, right, you can go through the process that you see in the next few slides. How do you identify problems that you can solve? Now, typically most people, they are very competent in listing down what their skills and experiences are, right? So I give an example here. Right? Extensive people management experiences and successful track record of building effective team. So those of you who, if you have those skill sets, maybe you can relate to this particular example. So many people, yeah, you can say, oh, I have this skill sets, I have this experience. Very easy for you to put this down. Okay. The next easy thing that many people write down, okay, is this particular notion of how you do it. Okay. Oh, I solve. I build a conducive team environment. I mentor people. I provide very clear directions. That's how I do it. What most people tend to miss out, whether by ignorance or maybe you just can't be bothered, but I'm suggesting strongly to you, you need to pay attention to this red box here. Okay? So if you have strong people management experiences and you know how you solve people's problems, then you now need to understand what are the problems that you help them with. What are the problems that you help them with? Okay? So for those of you who have got strong HR people management experience, what do you think are the problems that you can solve? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think are some of the problems you can solve? So conflict management. So conflict is the problem. Okay. Retention, people leaving is the problem. Okay. Low morale, yes, is a problem. Right? So we have to understand the wordings here. Okay. So motivation is not a problem. The lack of motivation is a problem. The lack of motivation is a problem. Okay? So in other words, so again, another example here, right? So the problems here that somebody with these skill sets can solve could be high staff turnover, low staff morale, underperforming teams. Okay? So this is the problem. This is the problem. And why is this so important? Why is it so important? Because once you know this, it is so easy for you to go and identify companies that has this problem. Right? You can go out, talk to people, do your own Google search or whatever. You can find out what these problems are. Then you become their savior. You can go to them and say, hey, I can help you solve this problem. I can help you solve this problem. Right? And once you're able to do that, it becomes your strong differentiator. It becomes your unique selling proposition. It becomes part of your brand. Right? I hope you all get this. You know, I hope that you get the sense of urgency and passion that I have from my voice in sort of trying to share this with you, because I find this is so powerful and so long-lasting. Because once you know what problem you solve, you can bring that and go and search for companies that have that problem. Or even if you apply for jobs, if the job, right, in your research about the company advertised for that job, you see that, oh, they have this problem, that's why they need to hire that person. Oh, then you know, hey, I can do that because I can solve that problem based on my skills and experiences and the way I do it. Okay? I hope you sort of get that sentiment. All right, so let's take a look at Peter. What is Peter doing? Okay, how does he use this to help him identify his problem-solving areas?
I have strong experience in corporate operations and business transformation. I am also passionate about sustainability processes. I help companies who have difficulty in integrating sustainability practices into their organizations and business models. I do this by providing strategic guidance in business process reengineering, building strong teams and orienting everyone to the corporate mission.
Right. If you want to take a screenshot of this, basically is what Peter is trying to achieve, where his problem-solving areas are. Right? So if you look at this, once Peter knows what his problem-solving areas are, he is very clear, right, as to what his differentiation is, right? What differentiates him from his competition. Okay? It is this, the ability to identify and to solve any companies who have difficulty integrating sustainable practices into their own company processes. Okay? That is his superpower. That is his superpower. Okay? Right. So, we have talked about this, right? So we've said about, how do we identify our passion? How do we identify the problems that we solve? Okay, because once we know that there are people who value the things that we can do to help with their problems, they are willing to pay us for it. Okay, they're willing to pay us for it. Okay, we know all these things. Now that we know all these things, something is missing. Something is missing. What is missing? Well, we need to know what other people think of us, right? Before we start trying to push our brand to outside, we need to know, hey, where are we standing? What is other people's impression of us right now? Okay, remember what I said previously? Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So essentially, all of you, every single one of you already have a brand. So you need to know. If you don't know already, you need to know what your brand is. Okay, now how do we do this? Okay, couple of ways. Obviously, the first one, many of us do this. You Google your own name. Okay, Google your own name and see what comes up in the search results. Okay, hopefully the name that comes out is your name and not somebody else's name. So my past workshop, I use Adrian Lim as a name example. Right? If your name is Adrian Lim, hopefully when you type your name in there, he doesn't come up with any bad examples. Now, I would also suggest another way for you to find out what you are known for. Essentially, it is talking to people, whether it's to your family, your close friends, your colleagues. Okay? You just have to ask them. All right? At the end of the day, this is what you want to know. What are you known for? What are you known for? Right? Are you someone who they think is a very good organizer? Are you someone they think you are a good listener? Right? What are you known for? How do you help them solve their problem? Okay? Then you have to ask yourself, all those feedback that you get, does it match with your own desired personal brand? For example, right? If somebody says that, Rubini is a very neat person, a very organized person, but on the flip side of it, it may also mean that you are very straight-laced. You're not very flexible. Is that what you want to be known for? Okay, maybe not. Right? So the thing now here is this. If I take a case of Peter, okay, example here, Peter, he sees himself as someone who is an expert in sustainable business practices. He wants to be seen as that. Okay, but he may not be seen as that. Other people may only see him as someone who is very strong in business development, planning, corporate governance because of his history, of his career history, right? So there is a gap, and this gap can be quite a big concern to someone like Peter, because then there's a difference between what he wants to be seen as and what other people see him. Right? So ideally, there should be an overlap. There should be an overlap between these two areas. And the intersection here, right, could be your brand. Now, why do I suggest strongly that it should be the intersection? Because one is the intersection. It means that it is your brand, it is you. It becomes more authentic. Okay? Because it is how you see yourself, it's how other people see you. So the degree of authenticity is very high. So you need to look at where the intersect is.
Hi, thanks for watching this video. If you like what you've seen and can't wait for the next one, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel in the link below. See you soon.